Yo guys, what's up? Just want to get on here real quick and take you through a nutrition slash recovery plan for going into 24.2. If you haven't done it yet, if you have done it yet, I would love to hear some feedback about how it went for you because it's an interesting workout. Okay, first thing I noticed about this workout actually is the time domain. A little bit longer than we're typically used to seeing for the open. The open is usually somewhere between like 7 to 12, max like 16-minute type time domain. But now we're going with a 20, which is super long for the open. Usually they don't give us that much time because they like to keep heats, relatively manageable. But I guess with the simplicity of the workout and the not much equipment is used and not much space is used, that they're kind of okay with going a little bit longer. So either way, longer workout. So for us, that means more energy output, okay? Not to mention that when we actually crunch the numbers, the amount of work that you're doing with the deadlifts, with the calories on the row, and of course it's meters on the row, but in terms of just putting out the calories on the rower, and then we also have the double unders, that is a lot of load, okay? You're moving a lot, and it's a very high volume crunch into a relatively short period, okay? So what we have to think about there immediately is that because it's a high energy output and we're doing a lot of volume with a lot of load, we need to make sure that we're eating enough energy on the day of the day before the workout and the day of the workout. So we'll break down a couple things there, but I think the first and most important thing is a pre-workout meal, because of course we're always talking about pre-workout meals. The first is a carb heavy pre-workout meal. All right, so to the tune of 40 to 50 grams 2 hours before. That can be more if you want. I'm okay with going 60, 70, whatever you're comfortable in terms of carb range. The good thing about this workout is that I don't think it would elicit too much nausea. It shouldn't. Obviously, it depends on the intensity that you bring, but there's not a lot of up-down. It's more so just like, hey, 2 cardio pieces, kind of, and then just some deadlifts, which for me is actually a cardio piece because it kind of ruins me. But either way. Not a lot of up downs and shit like that. You're not going upside down, so relatively you should be nausea free, maybe, hopefully. So you could probably bring it closer to like an hour before the workout if you wanted, depending on your comfortability level. If you're okay with what you're eating and the volume and how close it is to the workout, you're probably going to be okay. But if you still want to be safe, then 2 hours before is probably sufficient. Also, you want to include some protein in there. And I say that strictly because this is a very high load workout. We're moving that barbell with it's not a light deadlift. I mean, comparatively, because we do typically see the 225, 185. I think that's the female weight. But it just the overtime, the amount of reps you're doing, if you get 10 rounds, you're doing 100 deadlifts at that weight, which is more than double Diane, which is 45. So just think about that. That is quite a lot of load. So we want to make sure that we're hitting our protein numbers on a daily basis, but also getting some protein before, because we want those amino acids in our system already to be able to repair and recover. So make sure you are getting protein before, but also really a post-workout meal is also going to be important, of roughly the same thing. You want a lot of carbs and a lot of protein so that your body can recover and get back to training as soon as possible, or getting ready for a redo. So I would also suggest this as a pre-workout meal, but this also as a post-workout meal, okay? Somewhere in the tune of 1 hour to 2 hours after the workout, or whenever you want, really. Okay, so I'm going to beat that one to death. But second point, depending on your fitness level, you might want to supplement with an intra-WOD carbs, okay? 20 minutes is quite long, and I think just given the cadence of the workout, and this is why it depends completely on your fitness level, because obviously looking at the, Justin and Colton do that workout, there was no rest period, so there's no point where Colton went over to a bench, grabbed some Gatorade, kind of chilled out for 10 seconds before he grabbed the barbell or anything, obviously. But that's because they are super fit and they don't need that, and that's still a relatively short time domain for them. But for us average CrossFitters, there probably is going to be some points in the workout where you're going to take 10 seconds, before grabbing the barbell, or 10 seconds, or a little bit, you're going to be a little bit slow getting onto the rower because you're just taking that extra time to rest so that you can go unbroken or something like that. Maybe even before the double unders, just so you can rest your heart rate, try to recover, and go unbroken on the 50 instead of breaking them up into sets of 10 or whatever. So with that being said, you might want to take the time to supplement with intra-WOD carbs. So something like a Gatorade, where you're just getting liquid carbs in at various points through the workout. Okay, that will help us keep our glucose levels high, because this is a high energy output workout. So the more that we can manage our glucose levels to any degree, I think it's going to be beneficial. Okay, so really think about that. Again, it might depend on your fitness level, because if you're fit enough or you're scaling it appropriately enough that you're essentially not going to get any breaks because you're just kind of going from one thing to another, then that's okay. But if you are going to take breaks, maybe think about getting some carbs in there, because that can only help you. And just think about that. Number 3, carb up the day before and day of. Okay, so the day before the workout, you probably want to do a refeed if you're doing a calorie deficit. If you're already at maintenance in terms of your calorie, that's fine. But if you are in a deficit right now, I would suggest adding a serving of carbs, or 20% to your total. So if you're at 200 carbs per day, going up to 240 the day before the day of is probably advisable, because we really want to make sure that we're fueled and prepared for this workout, and not really trying to be like, oh, we want to be in a calorie deficit and absolutely crush this workout. Excuse me. So think about adding some carbs as like a refeed the day before and the day of. So that's why I'm trying to get this out this morning for anyone doing it tonight. Like me, carb up, eat your carbs. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, so number 4, manage recovery with your breath. Okay, so this is a little bit of a recovery tactic. It's a longer workout with, again, like I said, a whole lot of energy output. Okay, I don't know about you, but personally, looking at those movements myself, I suck at 2 of those movements. I'm really bad at rowing. I'm really bad at deadlifts. One thing I do find with rowing is that it takes me a lot of energy, okay, to do, because I guess I'm a little bit of a shorter limbed athlete, and it's not something I typically was good at anyway. So throwing does kind of jack my heart rate up. Not to mention that I find deadlifts that actually specifically take a lot of energy from me as well, and they jack my heart rate up. So that in combination with a double under is like, okay, every single movement for me is like jacking my heart rate up. And my whole approach to this workout personally for me, and this, I'm not sure if this is going to be a successful strategy or not, but it's going to be managing my heart rate and trying to control my breath, especially on the rower, because it's a little bit difficult to control your breath doing 10 unbroken deadlifts as fast as you can. It's a little bit difficult to control your breath on the double unders, though I think it's more important to think about not losing your breath on the double unders. The row, where you have probably like 1.5 to 2 minutes of steady state, catch and pull, that's going to be the area where you really want to control your breath. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're breathing deep, that you have some good exhales, because that's going to keep the heart rate low. If you recall doing our stress module, we talked about the sigh breathing technique. So doing a short, quick breath in and a long exhale, something like that is going to allow us to keep our heart rate low, so that when we get onto the deadlifts, we're kind of recovered a little bit. And then by the time, hopefully, we finish our deadlifts and our double unders, that's when our heart rate spiked again. We go right onto the rower to use the sigh method to then control our breath, get our heart rate down again. So I would say looking at the row as a recovery until like the last probably 5 minutes, where you're getting into the last round or 2, then you probably want to send it on the rower. And that, it's one thing for me to say, hey, you should watch your breath, but you're probably not gonna be worried about that. So you still try, but again, so manage your recovery a little bit during the workout, and I think that'll put you in a good spot. Okay, so the next thing, not really nutrition or recovery related. I mean, a little bit, but you want a really solid posterior warm-up, okay? Looking at this workout, you see that essentially you have 2 pulling movements, right? Or 2 hinging movements, because you have the row, which is a pull and a hinging movement, kind of. And then you also have the deadlift, which is going to be probably the biggest stimulus for this workout, I think, unless you're really, really bad at double unders. So personally, for me, given my history with lower back injuries and tightness in glutes and hamstrings, I absolutely want to just get a really, really solid warm up, even possibly at the expense of a little bit of performance. So I might actually like over warm up a little bit, just because I really want to save myself from possible blowing up during the workout. Getting into like the 10-minute range where like my back is just a solid fucking, like concrete, and I'm just in pain. And I also want to save myself from injury, because the one thing that I think we lose sight of in the open is that we start thinking like, oh, I just want to do everything I can to crush this workout, and then looking for a redo and things like that. It's like, okay, sometimes it is what it is on the performance, and then sometimes it actually be better for you to just get back to training, right? So the sooner that you can get back to training, in terms of like taking a day or two off and then getting back, will be more advisable than doing the workout, taking a day or two off, then redoing the workout, then taking a day or two off, and you're kind of like, on Wednesday you're like, okay, I'm ready. It's like, okay, well, I have to get ready for the next workout. So just something to keep in mind. Of course, you can do what you want with that information, but really want to make sure that you are at least saving yourself from injury so you can get back to training, or increasing your recovery time to make sure that you get a good warm up and you're not blown up for 2 or 3 days after, because you did get a good warm up. It could possibly set you up for a redo on Sunday or Monday if you wanted to do it, or whenever you want to do it. So keep that in mind. If you get a really good warm up, get loose, really warm up the lower back, spinal erectors, glutes, hamstrings, even legs a bit, because we're driving through that rower. We're going to be driving through the ground on the deadlifts. Warm up the calves, because believe it or not, even if you do 6 rounds of double unders, that's 300. That's not nothing. So even think about warming up the calves. You essentially want to warm up everything below like your belly button. So get a really good warm up in. If you have any questions about some warm up techniques or movements, let me know. I'll send them your way. And yeah, other than that, just to summarize, make sure you depend on your pre-workout meals that are in the tune of 20 to 30 grams of protein, 40 to 50 grams of carbs. You want that 1 to 2 hours before the workout, probably 1 to 2 hours after as well. And just because it's been on my mind, I'm going to say it here. Don't use fuel as an excuse for eating like an asshole, okay? So just because you worked out doesn't mean you get to reward yourself with fucking 2 pizzas. Like, don't be an asshole when it comes to that. So yeah, you've definitely earned some carbs, but just don't be an asshole. And that's all I have to say about that. So good luck in the workout. I'm going to do it tonight, and I'll probably provide like a debrief tomorrow for anyone that's doing it on Sunday to share my thoughts, in case you wanted kind of any insight as to how it went and how much it sucked. But either way, I really don't like this workout, but we're going to do it anyway, and it's going to be fun. So let me know if you have any questions, and good luck.